So 5 hours, that is the total time of Letecia Stauch's interview with the FBI. Now, the 39-year-old faces multiple charges, including 1 count of first-degree murder for the death of 11-year-old Gannon Stauch, her stepson. Now, his body was found stuffed in a suitcase underneath a bridge all the way in Florida. Remember, the family was living in Colorado at the time. Gannon was killed in his bedroom in Colorado. Now, Stauch has pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, and on Monday, the jury heard more from the special agent with the FBI who interrogated her. Let's take a look at what he had to say when asked about his observations of her demeanor during their interview.
Did she ever express any history with severe mental health issues, diseases, defects, anything like that?
She did not.
Did she ever talk about sexual abuse that she allegedly suffered as a child?
No.
Did she ever point to specific people in her life, family, that she alleged carried out sexual abuse against her?
No.
Did she ever give you any descriptions of any commitments to hospitals?
No.
Did she appear to understand the gravity of the situation when you were talking with her, that this is a first-degree murder charge?
Very well.
In what ways were you able to develop that idea?
Well, as I said earlier, she's able to see where different lines of questioning go and what would be damaging for her to answer truthfully. So, whether we're talking about evidence in the case or what happened to Gannon or her role or involvement, she stops that line of questioning before it goes down something that would be damning towards her in testimony.
So are you saying resisting giving more incriminating statements about the crime itself?
Correct.
Did that appear to be a calculated move on her part?
Yes.
Throughout your entire interaction with her, both through the consensual recorded phone calls and this long interview, did you ever observe her to change personalities?
No.
Did she ever talk in a Spanish accent?
No.
Did she ever demand to be called any other names besides the name that you knew her as?
No.
Did she ever use the name Taylor?
No.
Jasmine?
No.
Harmony?
No.
Christina?
No.
Little Lucia?
No.
Maria Sanchez?
No.
A lot of names there. Remember, this line of questioning is important because the defense is saying that Letecia Stauch suffers from dissociative identity disorder, formerly known as multiple personality disorder. Let's listen to some of what Letecia Stauch had to say. This is from that interview with the FBI special agent, and at this point in time, this is after she has been arrested. This is where he's kind of questioning her about her mental health struggles. Let's watch.
The one, not the one.
You know, if I asked you ahead of time if you're having anxiety or depression or stuff like that?
Anxiety, depression, any of those things. Because, to be honest with you, that's it.
But have you been, you said Gannon's been seeing counselors. Have you been seeing counselors?
Right, about teaching. One time, maybe she did it too because she was going to give the emotional support animal.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the 2 times on base, and we talked about not wanting to be in teaching anymore and all that route. Stress on the job, that was what we talked about.
You had searched a little bit on the suicide stuff.
What suicide stuff?
What, was that you or was that just random heat stroke?
Suicide? I don't even.
Have you ever thought about suicide?
Who?
You.
I'm not thinking about suicide.
Oh, okay. Let me bring in our panel this morning. Dr. John Delatorre. He is a practicing forensic psychologist based in San Antonio, Texas, and in Orange County, New York. Retired NYPD detective Angel Masonette. Dr. John, let me start with you here. This is right up your alley. So what she's saying here, to this detective, you're listening to it, knowing the defense now. Share with us your thoughts about what she's trying to do here, if anything, please.
Yeah, it does seem to be more calculated than what it would be if she actually suffered from dissociative identity disorder. Now, the reality is, right, well, what I actually mean is that theoretically what it is that it is possible for someone with DID to not know that they suffer from DID. So another alter comes out and has no idea that they're actually, mentally ill. So that part is theoretically possible. But when you listen to how this FBI agent feels, right, and experiences Letecia Stauch, it certainly seems like he's reading more about the calculated nature, that she's trying to figure out what would be the best answer for the questions that he's giving her. So it doesn't seem like these are altered personalities that have no awareness of each other. So it does seem like she's being more manipulative and coercive than suffering from a severe mental illness.
Appreciate it, Dr. John. And for any of our wonderful viewers who wake up with us every morning who maybe didn't see on the show a couple of times, you've told us, no, this does not seem like she suffers from this disorder. And of course, we know you haven't evaluated her personally. We always hedge it with that. But there's nothing about what we've seen so far in this case that's made you say, as somebody who knows this really well, that's what's going on there. And that was what was important in that line of questioning with that attorneys saying you didn't hear from Taylor or Harmony or Christina. He named all these different names during the interview. She didn't speak with a Spanish accent. No, she did none of that. She just was telling lots of lies. Detective Angel Masonette, let's talk about that. When you're an investigator and you've got a liar on your hands, and I would have to think, this guy, the special agent with the FBI, is really good. I mean, he kept her talking for 5 hours after she had been arrested and they hadn't found little Gannon yet. He gets all this information. What do you do when you know there's a liar? How do you go about questioning them, please?
So the first thing you want to do is you want to be careful, right? You want to kind of tread lightly because you don't want them to lawyer up. And the longer you go, and as you saw in that clip and in several other clips, the longer you go and the more methodical she's getting in her answers, as far as asking the question, repeating the question herself before she answers it. It speaks to the fact that she's trying to come up with an excuse for every question as it's being answered, right? So you're treading lightly. She doesn't lawyer up. You're trying to keep her going down the same path. But it just shows that, she thought she was smarter than the FBI agent, right? Because she thought she was going to outsmart him. The only reason somebody allows himself to be questioned for 5, 6, 7 hours without asking for an attorney is because they think they're smarter than the police.
Definitely. Excellent point. And Dr. John, let me ask you, please, when I think of how this child was killed, and I think let's just take a moment, think about this. This child was stabbed 18 times and shot 3 times in his bedroom, in his home, the place where this child should feel the safest in the world. And he was killed by the woman who was taking care of him, the woman who was tasked with keeping him safe. All that being said, the number of times really says something to me, and as a lawyer, as a former prosecutor, as somebody who advocates for victims, it makes me mad. Tell me, as a mental health professional, Dr. John, what, if anything, does the number of times say here to you, also taking into account that her lawyers are saying she suffers from dissociative identity disorder?
Right. So if we take that into account, is it possible that one of the alters is so full of rage that they're willing to take it out on a little child? I mean, I guess, when we're looking at 18 times, when we're looking at multiple ways in which, the individual tried to kill another person, we're looking at and we're thinking about this person, right? The perpetrator of this crime absolutely wanted the victim dead, for sure. And then the 18 times recognizes some kind of personal connection, particularly with the using of the knife. There's some kind of personal connection that is there, that's filled with rage and animosity, that is filled with also some kind of jealousy that's there for it takes so physically exhausting to do something like that, right? And then seeing the victim, there's a personal connection and a very intense emotional state that the perpetrator is going through in order to engage in the behaviors that they're going through when it comes to stabbing and then shooting the victim in this case.
Dr. John, I have to tell you, we've talked a lot. You're one of my favorite guests that comes on the show. I was hanging on to every word that you were saying just then. The state needs to call somebody like you, and then they need to repeat those words to the jury in close and say, this was personal. She had a jealousy thing with him. Maybe he was an inconvenience, whatever the motivation they believe is the case, because little Gannon was between her and her husband, Gannon's dad, and she was doing all the work at home while he was so bravely serving our country. But this is important to understand, that there was a lot of intensity and emotion going on. I just don't know how she can sit there and lie her face off to that detective after doing that, after hurting that child in such a brutal way.